according to data from the UPMC Sports Medicine Concussion Program. That's a mouthful. Nearly 300,000 athletes in the United States suffer from football-related concussions every single year. And joining me right now to discuss all of this is Dr. Darshan Shah, CEO and founder of Nexthealth. Thank you very much, doctor, for being with us. In terms of these multiple hits that Tagovailoa is sustaining, obviously, I think any player would be considering retirement after seeing what's happened time and time again, after seeing how CTE has affected some of the veterans in football, where we're really still learning about the marvels of the human brain. What would you tell him if you were sitting across from him and not me right now?
You know, I would tell him the best time now to really take a look at this in himself and take a look at his symptoms and talk to a physician about retirement is now. These injuries accumulate over time. And when they accumulate over time, you don't really see the symptoms until 5 to 10 years later. The damage he's doing now is something he's going to be suffering from 5 to 10 years from now. And so really now's the time to really take a good hard look. And football is really what he should be doing for the next 5 or 10 years.
And in terms of the science, obviously when we first started looking at CTE, there was so much controversy around it. There were a lot of questions, but we've graduated to this zone where, again, the media is responding differently to these hits. We have the actual teams, the league itself, responding differently. There are new helmets that were rolled out in 2023 to help actually players in certain positions on the field, including quarterbacks. Do you think we are still in a state of discovery, or have we learned enough to know what not to do?
Yeah, I think we're absolutely way past discovery now. We know this is a big problem. We know it's not just concussions. That's such an important point to make. A concussion is what you just saw on the field over there, where a really hard hit leads to these symptoms, or you can't move, you seize up. What really is the problem is the multiple hits over time that these players are experiencing as they're training. A lot of this happens in training. And so we know what we need to do. The NFL has taken some great steps using these Guardian helmets that you're showing. They're doing things like dynamic kickoff. They're limiting the amount of full contact practices. What really needs to happen is we need to start this earlier in high school, and even earlier than that, when kids really are starting to play football in the first place. These are accumulation of damage that occurs when not just the hard hits, it's the smaller hits that happen over and over and over again in practices.
And I think everybody thinks, oh, it's because they're running harder. It's these guys are bigger, they're heavier, but it's the repetition and how much of an impact every single time, which, again, as you mentioned, may not be seen for years to come. There was a player recently came out speaking about this, linebacker Bart Scott, saying that following this particular hit, he says, everybody thinks I retired because of my toe, but really it was because I started seeing spots and lights. I had light sensitivity. So is that something that's a precursor, or is that kind of a way to say, you know what, this has gone beyond a concussion and I need to really prioritize my health?
Yeah, so people should really think about CTE the same way they think about Alzheimer's. It goes through these stages, and what you see are things like headache, maybe a little bit of mood changes, but then we know that will progress, especially with repeated injury, to really bad depression. You know, you hear about people having suicidal thoughts and even homicidal thoughts. You hear about massive memory loss. All these things progress over time. Is when you first start seeing those symptoms of things like headaches or forgetting little things or a little bit of mood swings is when things really start adding up. And that's exactly what he saw. And he made the smart decision to retire before it got worse and progressed.
And this is something that parents are thinking about with their young children, with what track to put their kids on at a young age. Thank you, Dr. Darshan Shah, for being with us. And again, good perspective. We appreciate it.
It's your pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks so much for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.